name's Mike Deering. I'm the principal, and you are on a Zoom call, and one of many Zoom calls I'm sure you've been on throughout this entire time. We have done this now. This is, I think, our third or fourth time that we've done this, and I think we've got it down to a fine-tuned machine. We're going to start with a word of prayer, and then I'm going to introduce our staff, our faculty, and when our amazing, wonderful student, Jordan Stolle, shows up, then she'll have time to talk. And we also are waiting on one of our super parents, alumni parents now. So we're waiting on a few, but that's okay. And as people come and go, that's all right. That's just the name of the game in Zoom land. And I know that Tracy will respond, and Kurt will respond too in the section where you have the chat. So as chat and questions come up, let us know if there's anything that we can answer. But we will have a time at the end for Q&A as well. I'm speaking too much before we pray, so let's start in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for Wednesdays. And again, we thank you for technology and the ability to see each other without masks on, and just spend this time talking about the many blessings that Concordia High School has to offer, and the families and the students and the faculty staff that come together to support this school. Again, bless this time. In your name we pray, amen. Okay, well, I will then go around the horn and just introduce quickly people. And so if you can, let's move the yellow box around a little bit if we can. So give a wave and a little grunt or a hi, and then that way the yellow box will go to you, and so people know who you are before we begin. I'm sure each one of you will introduce yourselves as we spend time talking, but we really want to keep this flowing. I think that's one of the things that we see with our students on Zoom, and you only have an attention span of so long. And so we don't want to bombard you with a lot of things. So we're going to switch it up and keep it moving. And that's why we say, if there's any chat things and you're like, oh, I'd like to say something about that, or I've got a question, either write it down and ask later, or put it in the chat comment section and we will get to it. First of all, Tracy Doobie, who is the one that set this up. She's the one that you've been getting some emails from, and certainly she is the front desk and extraordinaire of CHS. And so she's certainly somebody that you're going to come in contact with as you start the process and finish the process. And even when you are at Concordia High School, you will come in contact with Tracy. She is, like a lot of us, wears a lot of different hats, but she is one that is like a machine when it comes to responding emails. I think she might be part cyborgs, part robot, part Tracy. She's incredible in the response that she gets back to you. So thank you, Tracy, for setting this up, and thank you for everything that you do. I don't know how everybody's arranged, but Kurt's on this side. I don't know if that's accurate for everybody else, but Kurt Westfeld, he's at the new building. You see the big old CHS sign back there. Actually, it's not even CHS. That's the old mascot, Cardinal. But he is at the new building, which we're really excited about. And he is going to get some time at the end to talk about the new building. And I'd love to hear from him. And I know we all would too, about the things that are going on over there. He's the development guy, external operations. If you go over to the new building, I'm sure you'll run into him as well. And that just needs to be said, and understand when you come and visit, there's a couple of things that we want you to do now. Visit us here at Royston, go over to Heatherwild, see the future. Coach Knippa, Carla Knippa, our activities director. She's talking about the many plaques that are behind her. She is a runner. Her husband and her are runners. And she's been here. This is your seventh year now, 6th year, 7th year. Started out as a teacher, and she definitely taught in the public schools and came over here, and now she's running activities, and in a very, very exciting time to run activities in the world. So she's going to talk more about that. And then we have Mrs. Rep. I believe we'll go in that order. And Diane Rep is our college coordinator extraordinaire. You come on a visit tour with us. We're going to stop at her board and look at all of our college, our seniors and the college acceptances as they come in. that is the end product of the many hours that Diane spends with them and pours into the families to get them scholarship. I'm not taking away anything from Diane. She's just amazing in what she does with our college kids. And certainly that's part of the whole experience here. And Dr. Rader, I was going to say Marianne, but Dr. Marianne Rader, she's going to talk to you about the academic piece and the college readiness, even going kind of side saddling with Diane there on the academic side, and just really looking at what makes Concordia High School unique when it comes to being in the classroom. I don't see our student yet, but that's okay. We will introduce her when she shows up, and our parent as well. So my time is up. Again, my name is Mike Deering. If you're coming on, I'm the principal. I do a little bit of teaching, a little bit of bus driving, a little bit of recruiting, a little bit of this, of that. And I am at school. And as you can see behind me, I've got my family group sign, which we'll talk about a little bit. That's my H209 group. Shout out to them. That being said, again, welcome. And Coach Knippa, you are on.
All right. Thank you very much for being here tonight. As Mr. Deering said, I retired from the public schools and got here as fast as I could 7 years ago, and I love it. You will not find a more caring and compassionate family at Concordia. Our students, embrace each other, and our faculty and staff and teachers, that they'll really love on your students. So please, seriously, consider coming here and praying about it. It's a big decision to make, I know. I get to do the fun stuff. I'm the activities and athletic director, and it's the land of opportunity for our students. Because we're small, we share all of our students. The coaches are used to that. And it's not unusual for our students to be involved in choir, one-act play, football, and maybe even be in the cheer team at the same time. I mean, we just love them to try different things and give them that opportunity, because we know that it builds very, very complete college applications. It shows that they're well-rounded, and it's also very good for their professional job resume, to show all the things that they've been involved in. So it's just not unusual to have kids in the spring maybe playing baseball and running track at the same time, and wrapping up with their performance in the musical. And not to mention our Science Olympiad program that many of the kids love, that Dr. Rader will maybe mention, but she heads that up, and they do that also in the springtime. So I just love it, because you don't have to worry about just picking one sport and sticking with it all 4 years. You're going to get plenty of playing time and plenty of participation in whatever you choose to do at Concordia. We offer most all the sports that the big schools do. And even if we just have 2 golfers, we're going to have a golf team. So consider that. Our coaches are very well qualified. They're just not another warm body thrown out there because they can teach English or because they can teach math. These are coaches that usually have real jobs outside of Concordia, and we hire them because they are former college athletes. Some of them are former professional players. They're club coaches or select team coaches. And we even have former athletes that are coaching for us. Our head basketball coach, he is a former athlete of ours, and he's also doing his student teaching right now on our campus. So we're going to have qualified coaches in front of the athletes. And also, I think it's cool because they have a real passion for their sport, a knowledge for their sport, and they're there to build strong Christian leaders. That's the most important thing about it. Just want to brag a few minutes on our athletes, because if you're interested in getting to the next level, I'm talking to you athletes, if you're listening out there, if you want to play in college, you can do it at a small school like Concordia. So the class of 2018 had 17% of their students sign letters of intent and go on to play or participate in college. And the NCAA says the average is only 7%. So 17% went on. So I like to brag about that because we had soccer players go on, we had runners go on, we had a swimmer go on, we had softball players move on. So if you can dream it, you can do it at Concordia. We'll make sure of that. And we, have had state champions in swim and cross country and track recently. Our let's see, we had the state actor this fall in one act play, and that was really cool. We've had teams place second in state. Our soccer team and our cross country girls and boys have been second in state. And I think we had 3 swimmers win state last year. So maybe last year and then the year before that, when we could do a whole year of sports before COVID kind of cut us short last year. We've had some real success. So it's exciting. We hope that you will be a part of that. And then lastly, I want to let you know that if you go over and visit the Heather Wild campus, you're going to see an amazing indoor training facility that we just opened up, and the students and coaches from Concordia get priority and you get to use it for free if you go over there with your coach. And we have parent volunteers that sometimes set up workouts as well, but we have a softball and baseball batting cage over there. We have 2 batting cages, one for softball, one for baseball. We have a 70-yard artificial indoor track or turf, that our track teams and our soccer teams and football teams can use. There's a great picture that Mr. Westfield pulled up for us. He's probably going to talk a little bit about it too. So the batting cages, the artificial turf, we've got 2 basketball and volleyball courts set up. And then we have shot put and discus rings, and we have the Austin pole vault in there, and they also have a high jump pit now. So no other area school in this Central Texas has an indoor training facility like we have, and we are very proud of it, and our coaches and athletes are pumped about it, and now we can go over there anytime we want to, and it's never going to be no practice because of rain or inclement weather. We can just go right over there. So just hope that you'll, ask me any questions that you might have about any activities or athletics. If you don't think of them now, you can always email me at carla.canepa@chsaustin.org. So thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, as Coach was saying, with our students that get involved with a lot of different things, it not only prepares them for life and the disciplines and just the joy of playing, but it also looks great on the resume, and because they're getting involved in a lot of different activities. And the person to speak probably the best on the resumes for college is Mrs. Rep. So Mrs. Rep, you are up.
Thank you. It's, we live in masks these days to keep everybody safe. So it is so nice to see everybody unmasked and see smiles and everything. And thank you for joining us tonight. We know your time is precious, but I think you'll agree at the end of this that CHS has a lot to offer. And if nothing else, it gives you a lot of things to think about as you're contemplating the future for your student. As has already been mentioned, we have an incredibly caring staff. Several of my children have already gone through the program, and so I can definitely attest to the fact that they are well cared for. And also, parents, think about the peers that your children are with. They spend a lot of time with other students, and it is so nice to know that they are with students that you would desire for them to hang out with similar values and ones that can motivate and challenge them. So that's just something very important to consider. I always tell my families in nights like this, think about where your child can go, where they will grow. I always like for those to think like five years out, where do they want to be? And so for the next few years of high school, you go where you can grow and get to that level. And so the best fit is always in the back of my mind. It's not about getting students to Harvard or Stanford. Certainly I have those that apply, but it is about what is best for our students. So please know, if you're sitting there thinking, I really want to go to a vocational school or an art school, or I want to become an apprentice, or I have a variety of ways of things that I do that will help you. That being said, I get to start working right away in 9th grade with our students, so I know them well. By the time they're 12th graders, I write awesome letters of recommendation because I know them so well. I've known them for 4 years, so I can tell a great story. And as we know, that is what really helps get those scholarship dollars, when they are well represented to the admissions folks in the universities. So right away, as they're in their freshman year, I introduce them to Raise.me, a great way to start earning micro scholarships for just being awesome students involved in a lot of activities. I also teach them how to do a resume to get that already going, so they don't forget all the little details over the 4-year high school career that they will need to represent themselves in college on those applications. I do a whole packet of study skills with students so that right from the very beginning, they learn some great techniques to help them to be successful at CHS. This year, we're not able to have college and vocational reps on our campus, but I have set up several Zoom meetings with those folks who can answer questions. And I have a great rapport with those college admissions people, so they are more than willing to meet with our students because they know how great they are. I have a college Cardinal Corner that is full of resources to help your student figure out what major they want to go into, what area of a school they might want to attend. So we are well stocked to prepare your student. I meet with them the spring of their sophomore year to introduce them to NHS, which they are eligible for as juniors and seniors, and to kind of start thinking about the college track, get it in their minds. Junior college night is a huge night in October with all of my juniors and the parents. You'll get a gigantic packet that answers all your questions. And then of course your senior year, I work all summer and get all of those documents sent in. Almost all of my students are finished applying by October and November, when some schools are just starting. And I do that because then your student is eligible for a lot of scholarship dollars that already are extinct by March. So we're always thinking ahead, and that way a student can just enjoy their senior year and rest on the fact that they've already finished all the hard work. They know where they're going. And it's always nice to finish your senior year feeling wanted and having some good direction. I'll give you an example. We offer several days off of school for college visits. One of my juniors in sociology now, left today to go to A&M. She's texted me multiple times since I've gotten home asking for ACT tutors and all kinds of ways to make sure she gets accepted to A&M. And I love that excitement. So those are some things that we offer our students. And I don't just teach freshman English. I also get to have your student in dual credit English as seniors while I'm working with them in the college coordinator program. But I also offer sociology and dual credit psychology. So I get to be someone who is with your students and gets to know them all through high school, and then represent them their senior year. So my motto, the kids always know, is at the end of all of my emails, it says, seek excellence, pursue your passion. I tell my students I want them to go into something that, whether they got paid or not, they would still love to go to work every day. I always use me as an example. Now, don't tell my principal, because I do like to eat, but I would still work at CHS for nothing because I love being with these students and encouraging them. It's the best job you could have. So please know that if you send your student to our school, they will be well loved, well cared for. And we truly think of this as a partnership with the parents. We are with your student a lot of time. And so we just love supplementing what you're already doing as a parent to grow your child. So know that I'm always available. I've been at CHS forever. I wouldn't be anyplace else. And so anything I can do to help you, my door is always open.
And Mrs. Rep really does mean that. She does what she says. And Diane, we do have you on recording, so I'd be careful what you say about this. I'm gonna come back and we're gonna renegotiate some things here. Fortunately, you are too valuable, Mrs. Rep, and we need you. And so you've earned every bit of it and then some. Thank you for everything you do, and great job with the senior class. Speaking of seniors, we do have Miss Jordan Stolle, who just arrived fresh from cheer. And so without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jordan and put her right on the spot, like right into the frying pan. Here you go.
Thank you, Mr. D. You know, I love talking about school. My name is Jordan Stolle, and I'm a senior at Concordia this year. I've known about Concordia for a while. My brother went here in 2017, so we've been here. He graduated in 2017, so it's been about 7 years of attendance at Concordia. I am involved in many things, which is a blessing because Concordia allows this, allows schedule conflicts, even though it doesn't really conflict, which is the great thing. Not always. I'm in cheer, as Mr. D said. I was volleyball captain, girls Bible study, stage managing the musical, things like that. Lots of good things that you can try here at Concordia. And I actually came from a public school. So if there's anybody out there that I could empathize with, I can talk to y'all too about that, because I really like the small aspect of Concordia, the family environment that I've heard of since like 2013. And it's true. Everybody here, we all know each other's names, you know. We're involved in so many activities that we know each other pretty deeply, and there's good heart behind everybody that you meet here, especially the teachers who are overqualified for their jobs. We were talking in economics today, and Mr. D teaches that, and he went on an amazing rant, and it was wonderful, and everybody was just chiming in and listening, just because it's things that you don't get to talk to other teachers about at different schools, just because they're so open and willing to let you ask questions and have conversations with them. Very open about their walk with God, and they encourage you to walk with God as well. So if there's anything I can do, I can send my email in the chat if you'd like, and I will definitely email you whatever you need. So yes, thank you.
Well said, Jordan. Great job. Thank you so much for your time and wonderful, wonderful words. I think she was referring to the economics lesson, and we were talking about scarcity, and I think we were talking about marriage at one point. So that kind of got thrown in there. You never know. But oh man. And she's actually, you know, leading the girls' Bible study. You and Charlotte, correct? Are you tag teaming that? Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. And next, to talk about the curriculum and all the amazing things that our teachers are overqualified to teach, Dr. Rader.
Hello, I'm Marianne Rader. And yeah, like Mr. D said, I want to talk a little bit about academics and curriculum, because yes, we have a fabulous environment. Yes, we have family groups. Yes, we're a Christian school, but we're also a great academic school. And I know that as parents, you value that for your children. So we have always been a college prep school, which means we are very intentional in prepping our kids should they go on to a four-year university. We do have some kids who end up going into military careers, who go into the services, or some of our students will go to technical colleges. And that's something that Mrs. Rep is also great about, helping the students find what fits their path and what their dreams are. We had a student a year and a half ago, I think, who went into the Marines, and they came and did his signing on campus, which was really, really cool for him to be celebrated in front of all his peers, you know, in addition to the morning things of this student got accepted to the school and congratulations, you know, for everybody to be celebrated. But anyway, so we are college prep. And so the focus is on that from day one, really. So 9th grade, 10th grade, all of the core classes students take are on a pre-AP honors level, because that way when they get to their junior year and they have the choice of taking an on-level or a regular course, or taking an AP or a dual credit or an honors course, everyone is prepared. So it gives them the 2 years of foundation at a pre-AP level so that they're ready then their junior year for whichever path they want to take. It's a little bit scary to me when we have to track kids a certain direction, you know, in 7th, 8th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, because look at how many people change their majors in college, right? And so if a freshman comes in and we say, oh no, we don't want to put you in honors, we don't want to go that route, a lot could change in the next 3 years. And so by having everyone in honors for core classes the first 2 years, it really opens up any avenue that students want to take as they get a little bit older. So once students get to 11th grade, that's where our classes split. And so like I said, we have dual credit, that's through UT Tyler, Colorado Christian, and ACC are the 3 that we're using at this point. And then we have AP classes and honors classes as well. Same thing for senior year, where students are able to choose the level that is most appropriate for them and their goals. And there's a lot of one-on-one conversations with students and parents and teachers back and forth of what's the best fit, you know, for my child. If they don't want to do all AP, for instance, but they want to do some, there's a lot of interaction of, well, based on their personality and their writing style and that sort of thing, we can help choose those courses. So it's very individualized. Our teachers have the freedom to design their curriculum, which as a teacher is a wonderful thing. We don't have canned curriculum. We don't have, you know, where you just buy the one size fits all. That's great from the teachers, but for the parents, sometimes they go, okay, well, where's the credibility to that? We are accredited by the National Lutheran School Association, which means every year we send in reports. They're looking at all of our documentation. And then every 5 years, they send a team on our campus who does a several-day visit. They're in our classrooms. They look at all of our curriculum, all of our stuff. And so you can trust that it is an approved school. It is an accredited school. And so that way we know that your students are going to be well prepared for that next step. Everything that we do meets and exceeds the TEKS, but our students do not do STAR testing. We have the traditional college prep testing, but not STAR testing, which is great because, again, it gives a couple of weeks more of instruction that we can spend with our students. And so that's a huge benefit to not be prepping for a test throughout the year. And again, to have that freedom in teaching and how you lay out your courses for the year, and to tailor it to the students. This past year, we all know, has been really bizarre with COVID. A lot of schools were shutting down and reviewing, and our teachers, when we all met last year over spring break, we said, no, we want to keep going. And so our teachers, they moved on. And so that's been interesting to have that foundation from last spring to use this year, because we've had students who've had to quarantine, you know, because of certain things, or they have family members who are at risk. And so some of our students are remote and some are on campus. And so it's been nice because our teachers can keep teaching and have honed that craft a little bit, rather than just saying, you know, we're going to just review, which I know a lot of schools did. It's interesting, having right now mixed classes where some students are remote and some are on campus. But it's been a steep learning curve, but I think our teachers are doing a great job of that. I know Ms. Knippa mentioned some of the extracurriculars that we have. Science Olympiad is one of my things. So it's kind of like PSIA or an interscholastic league for academics. And so students can compete academically there if they're not an athlete, but they still want to be on a team and do something. We also have TAPS competitions for academics, for speech and debate, for music, all those things where students can be competitive and be part of a team. Like I said, even if they're not an athlete. We have some students who do all of the things, who do tons of athletics, speech and debate, drama, you name it. And they stay very, very busy. And Ms. Knippa stays very busy coordinating all of their schedules so that the students don't have to battle, for where am I going to be? So for example, I have a student who's on cheerleading and Science Olympiad, and they both meet on Wednesdays and there's overlapping times. And so we have those times worked out so the student's not caught in the middle, and she wouldn't have to choose, where in some schools, some environments, she might have to choose between those two events. So it's a nice thing for her. Obviously, we're a Christian school, and that is a huge, huge piece of who we are. That is our identity. And when you talk to our teachers, I think you should get a pretty good sense really quickly that our teachers all come from Christian backgrounds, and we all love to share our faith with our students. That's something that you'll see woven into the classes. Definitely things are taught from a Christian perspective, but also in an environment where our students are able to ask questions, because high school is a great time, to be asking difficult questions and in a safe environment. You really want that happening in an environment where you respect the ethics, the moral values of the adults that you have around your kids. And I look back, my husband and I both were pure public school kids. He went to a huge public school in Houston. I went to one of the big public schools in Austin. We have very different types of experiences. I had a great academic experience, but when I look back, not really any mentorship from any of my teachers. I was involved in youth group, had a great group of friends. In that way, I think I was very lucky to have that support from my church and my friends. But like I said, didn't have it from my teachers. My husband had a horrible academic experience, the whole thing. He was the bad kid, I'll say that I wouldn't want my kids to be like as a teen. He's a great adult, don't get me wrong. But so when we had kids, we said we want our kids in a private school. He said private, I said Christian. And so for us, what it came down to really is the time that the teachers spend with your kids. I think about my own children, and they're with their teachers 7-8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I think about the time that they're with us when they're awake, and it's a lot fewer hours than that. And so how important it is that we have adults in their lives who have the same value system that we have, and when the big things happen in your life, like my family had a death in the family this week. So having those adults around my children to support them through that and pray with them and be there for them is great. High school, there's a lot of big things that happen. And so I think choosing very carefully the adults you put in your kids' lives is a huge thing. And so whether that's how they're teaching, what they're teaching, the whole piece of it, having teachers who care a lot about your kids and are going to love on your kids, and so are going to create the curriculum to support that in an environment where your kids can really shine.
Thank you, Dr. Rader. Well said. Well said. And there's a lot of information coming at you. I know we're going real fast, and but you get some of these stories behind the information that's coming at you. And one of those great storytellers is on Zoom right now, and she has heard from her son, who is now at Texas A&M. She will be able to tell you a little bit about her different perspectives and even her son's perspectives. Karen Sue Murty, welcome, and you are on.
All right, good evening, everyone. So I don't know if you remember what happened in August 25th, 2017 in Houston. It was Hurricane Harvey. And I have a niece who's there and hearing horrible stories, and just God really put on my heart that I wanted to come help. And so my youngest son, who was then a sophomore in high school, and I drove down from Janesville, Wisconsin, which is where my husband and I had lived for over 30 years. We stopped in Pflugerville, ended up at the high school. My son spent the day at Concordia High School. When I picked him up, he said, "Mom, I so wish I could go to this high school." And I'm like, well, I guess pray about it, because I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. But we had an incredible God story. But in the meantime, I said to him, I said, what's so great about this place? And he said 3 things. He said, first of all, it was clear that the teachers really cared about the students, really wanted them to learn, helped them figure out, how to learn. He said, I love being in the classroom with those teachers. The next thing was the relationship between the students. He said, what I really love, he said, was just the conversations that went on between the students. He said, the questions they asked, their deep dialogue. He said, and it was rigorous. It was academically rigorous, and people really wanted to learn and have, interesting discussions. And then the third thing was that God could be at the center of all the conversations and all the discussions. Like I said, we had a crazy God story, and here we are. I've been trying to get my husband to move to Texas for 30 years, so I'm glad I had a little help from God this time. I like the sun. Anyway, so we got here actually 2 days before his junior year. He is my 4th son. We've pretty much done everything with schooling. We've done private school, we've done public school, we've done homeschool, classical school. So we've kind of had all kinds of experiences. So Sam started school. And every single day, the first semester of his junior year at Concordia High School, he said, I am so happy we're here. And there's a kind of funny, second semester started, he says, okay, Concordia is not perfect, but I'm still so glad I am at Concordia High School. And one time we'd had a party over here, I think it was after the musical, and the kids were over, had a bonfire. And Sam walked in, he said, Mom, this is everything I could have imagined. He said, it is so nice to have friends who support me, who keep me accountable, and really want me to do my best and encourage me to do that. So I don't know, did somebody talk about family groups yet? So everybody kept talking, everybody kept talking about family groups. I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's like how great family groups were. Well, I got to experience family groups. So family groups are, each student is put in a family group. The family groups are made up of seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. And the way the new students get put into their family groups, the seniors get to make that decision how they present that. And this particular year that I came, they had done it by a family feud game. And whichever family won the family feud game, their winnings were their new students. And they would call out the student's name. And the student would come in, I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about this. The entire place was cheering. And at the top of their lungs, the students chanted, you are a child of God, a cardinal forever, and a member of family, like Tide or whatever the different families are. And it was just, I came home and I said to my husband, I wish every single teenager had that experience. It was so incredible. But it wasn't just that day then. It's like what happens in the family groups, they meet, they sit together for certain things. They meet for discussion times and devotions and meal on Fridays. I think still with Fridays with COVID. Anyway, they have time. And so what's very cool is there's kids from every different grade. And like my son said, they're not necessarily people that would normally be friends, but they become a very tight-knit group of taking care of each other, of helping each other. The older kids kind of take the younger kids under their wings and kind of care for them and teach them and make sure they don't fall through the cracks. And then, of course, as the kids get older, they become the leaders. And so you watch these kids develop incredible leadership skills through this. So it is really a very unique and a special thing that really helps to shape your kids in an awesome way. And yes, Sam is at Texas A&M this year, and I was actually on a mom's prayer group from Texas A&M. And all of a sudden it'd be like, oh, there's an engineering test, and everybody was freaking out for their kids. And I'd text Sam, are you doing okay? Yep, I'm doing fine, Mom. And he was so, at first when he had gone and he's like, oh, COVID is horrible because how do you meet people, But he was very well equipped to do both his classes and also learn how to meet other kids. And they've got that all figured out. And I feel like part of what Concordia really prepared him to do was to figure out the questions to ask, the ways to learn. He started in a class that he had Zippo knowledge. I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And he totally excelled at that class. He's like, Mom, I totally got this. And so I really feel like Concordia really prepared him well for that. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Love to tell more of my story or whatever, but I think for now, that's what I got. Yep, am I good?
Great. Thank you, Karen Sue. Yeah, before we get to Kurt and talking about the new building and just the future, as you're listening and contemplating and just processing, digesting, if you will, everything that's coming at you, you're getting a sense of the people that really make this place special in the regards of our students. It's not a time in their life where they're just getting through high school. It's a time when they're setting down their roots, their path, their vocation, and their identity through Christ. And so you see that played out in the activities and in the classroom. You see that in chapels and family groups and just all the different opportunities that our students take. All of it is aimed at this time in a young person's life to send them off and prepare them for an autonomous life. And so we look at high school as a transition time, certainly, but we look at it as some of the best times of their life and getting them really ready, prepared for the future. Speaking of transitions, Concordia High School is in a transition period. And so I'll give it over to Kurt and he can tell you more about it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. I'm sitting over at 1201 South Heatherwild here in Pflugerville. This is our new campus building. We've actually owned this building for 2.5 years. In the process of getting ready to do construction, we sold the land that we owned across the street to help fund this construction. And we also have put together a very successful capital campaign. We are at the juncture now at the point where the land has sold. The campaign gifts have been entered in. We have a budget of $2.4 million to go ahead and retrofit what we're calling phase 1 of this building. This building is a 68,000 square foot freestanding building. It was a warehouse in its early life. We have the ability now, we're so excited to be able to retrofit this into a high school that is extremely secure. 4 walls, 1 roof, a back parking lot with a gated entry, security cameras everywhere. We have the opportunity to build this from the ground up, already having the shell in place. So this month we're kicking off construction. Phase 1 will include all the classrooms we need, a science lab, a biology lab. It will include a cafeteria. We're calling it a cafetorium because we're going to use it as a multi-use space. It will be used for school gatherings. It will also be used for musicals. It will be, we'll have lunch there, and obviously we'll have the opportunity to eat inside and outside with an outdoor cafe that we're building. So we're so excited here. We have the opportunity to start construction, to get most of it complete by August. So it is our intention to move school in here next fall, and we'll be ready to go. As you all know, construction sometimes doesn't follow the schedule that you want it to be at all times. So we're building contingencies for anything and everything it takes for us to be able to operate our school here come the middle of next August. I think the best way to describe this building is to have you come see it in person. And several of you I've already met and given tours of the facility. I think it's really fun to walk around and see what we've done with the Cardinal Athletic Training Center and also what the future holds for this building. So we will be under construction probably for many years to come. Phase 1 will get us over there to operate as a school. And then phase next, as we call it, will be things like a theater or a gym or a library or additional labs. And that will all be determined by our donors and our supporters and their wishes and how they want to move us forward. So I want to personally invite you to reach out to me and come over to the building for a tour. It's a very large building and there's lots of space, so it's very safe. I will wear my mask and we can social distance, and the tour is really, really fun. It's exciting to see the future and what it holds. And the reason all of us are so excited about this is that Concordia High School will turn 20 years old next year. And this will be the first time in the history of our school that we've had our own campus building. And that's just an incredible leap for our school, incredible opportunity for us to educate your children, and to have you be a part of this growth cycle that we're going through is really a really neat experience. So I'd like to show it to you in person. So I also will put my email address in the chat box, and I look forward to meeting you and giving you a tour at your convenience.
Thank you, Kurt. Very exciting times. Absolutely. Let's go to Tracy. Do you have anything further, or do you just want to put your information out there? Again, Tracy is the person to be contacting. If you have any further questions, you can call her. Tracy, you have anything?
Well, I was just going to say, after you tour with Mike and Kurt at the new building, usually by the time you start to apply, it turns over to me and I help you through the process. I want to make the transition from whatever school you are currently attending as easy as possible for admissions and the steps, and helping you walk through that process, picking out your schedules as freshmen, or if you're a transfer, making sure your classes fit our curriculum and get you on the right path for graduation. I love doing that. I love helping people. So if you have any questions, I'll put my email in the chat as well, and look forward to hearing from you.
Great. Thank you. Parents, anyone? Questions, comments, thoughts? Certainly you're welcome to chat it up. That's okay. We're used to the kind of the awkward silence during classes too. So that's don't feel like you have to say anything, but if you, we got a question. Great. Transportation options from Georgetown. The transportation, we do run buses. One bus is currently going down to Redeemer and back again, and up to Georgetown. We've run buses to Wolf Ranch. If you're a Zion student, I will personally drive the bus to Zion Lutheran to make sure that and you can quote me on that, record that. I would love to get the bus route going up to Zion. We just haven't had anybody take that option on. And so a lot of the Zion students and families don't know that we would be willing to do that. So spread the word. Mr. D is coming to Zion in a bus, and we will get it done. Thank you. Great question. Any other questions? I'm seeing the chat box kind of blow up now. The question to staff: what would you tell someone looking at transferring in as a junior from PHS? Great question. Anybody?
I'll jump in on that
I
one.
could do that.
Oh,
Go ahead, Mary Ann.
I would say our culture is very, very, very different than the culture of a large private school. And so expect a little bit of, and take this in a good way, a little bit of, are these kids for real? Yes, we have teens, and yes, teens do goofy things and whatever, but we have some really, really great kids. So I would say that.
So I can speak from.
Oh, go ahead.
You go.
Yeah, because Go ahead, because Sam was a junior when he came.
Yes. So Sam not only was a junior transferring from a local school, but from halfway across the country, and actually gave up some really cool stuff. But anyway, I think there's a couple things that help the transition go so smoothly. And one is all the teachers are very involved in the kids and the kids' lives and helping that transition. But two, the family groups are huge because instantly they become part of a group, and it's not just their grade, but it's across, all of the grades. And I think three, it's an environment where the kids love to learn and they love to learn new things. So having a new kid come in is like, all right, here's another kid. Let's pick his brain. And so for Sam, the transition was very smooth. I know last year there was actually a senior that transferred in from a move, and he did very well also. It was super fun to watch his transition and really blossoming at Concordia High School also. And we've had I know this year, like I've been doing temperatures sometimes. I know that we've had some other, I think this year we've had some students that transferred in as sophomores that have done well.
Thank you all for the info. Appreciate it.
I wanted to emphasize too, since I spent 30 years in the public schools, I am also a graduate of a public school in Austin. Public schools aren't like they used to be. And we love our kids and the environment that a transfer student sees when they come in is just incredible. I mean, I can't describe how much happier I was to get to Concordia and see the respect that everyone has for each other. And just, like I said, the love, the family is there. And my kids went through high school where I taught, but every year it got a little bit more challenging for all of us. And Concordia High School is just a great place to consider. Just like I said, prayerfully, think about it. You can't go wrong. And even though they didn't start in 9th grade or go through middle school, private school with all these same kids, they're going to be embraced. They really will be. They'll fit right in.
I would also like to share a story because I'm a parent of Concordia High School students. I have a daughter who's a senior and a son who's a sophomore. And, that's a blessing for me, not so much for them because they have to see me more often than they wish. And they know their father's right around the corner sometimes. But I want to share a little story about my daughter, Keely. So as she came in as a freshman, she had never played sports at all. She was not athletic. She was focused on academics. She rode some horses and really got into that. And as Mrs. Rep mentioned, she gets to know the students right away. So in their freshman year, my daughter met with Mrs. Rep and she got to know her and learned about her horseback riding and her academic path and what she wanted to do. And my daughter came home from school one day and she said, Dad, I don't know what to do. Mrs. Rep asked me what sport I'm going to play at Concordia High School. And I said, well, honey, what'd you say? She said, well, I don't play sports. And Mrs. Rep said, Keely, what's you going to Concordia? She said, I don't. Mrs. Rep said, do you want to go to college? And she said, yes. Do you want a well-rounded college resume? Yes, ma'am. She said, I'll ask you one last time, which sport would you like to play? And she said, my son's been playing, I've been watching my brother play baseball for all these years. I know all the rules. I'm going to try out for the softball team. She went out and played on the softball team. Within a matter of weeks, she was the starting second baseman. And in her sophomore year, she played in the state championship. And obviously a really cool thing. And I just wanted to share that and thank Mrs. Rep for that opportunity. That's a memory that she'll cherish, that we as parents will cherish because she is not athletic. She's a great girl. But she got an opportunity to excel in a sport and an opportunity that she never would have ever dreamt of. And there's just an incredible experience for her. Fortunately, my son is fine. He plays all kinds of sports. He doesn't have to be told that. So Mrs. Rep, thank you for giving Keely that opportunity and providing that, and for encouraging her to do something that she's never done before. And now she'll talk about it the rest of her life. I just wanted to share that.
That's great. You know, I love that about our school. When we talk about go where you can grow, that's what so many of our students are doing. I had a freshman parent email me at the end of day today and said that her daughter came home from college and could not believe the change in her little brother, that he was talking on the phone and relating so much better to the family. And he's only been with us one semester. So there are so many great stories we can share, and we get to be a part of that, and it's very exciting.
I have another story that I would like to share. So there was a person who came, I'm not sure if they were a transfer or not, very quiet and shy. And I had seen this person around campus or whatever. And when we had the high school musical in February, at the end of February, and we had a party at our house afterwards, and all the cast were invited to come. So this person had said to the dad what time he was supposed to come back, which was about an hour before the party was going to be done. And when the dad came back, the person said, I want to stay to the end, because that person was having so much fun with all these other kids. And the dad literally stood on the porch with my husband with tears in his eyes saying, I just cannot believe this is my daughter who is saying this and doing it, is doing this. But it just, you know, you watch these kids come in and they thrive. And it's been very fun to observe.
Wonderful. Yeah. There was one question, I think we answered it, about the middle school algebra question. Dr. Rader, Tracy, do you want to speak in that a little bit more?
Math and Spanish are two that they might be above their grade level when they come in. And so they go in at the appropriate level. So if a student takes Algebra 1 in 8th grade, they would go into geometry as a 9th grader. And so those classes do have multiple levels available from day one. So, sorry, I wasn't clear on that.
I have one more comment to make. If you're thinking about coming to Concordia and you're trying to decide about this, I think one thing that's helpful is to have the students come. Can they observe now, or just, can they shadow or not yet because of COVID?
Tours.
Yeah. So, but maybe later in the spring, if that's an option, even, you know, if it might be a short option or whatever, that really, like I said, when my son spent the day there, it was so obvious to him that, you know, what the environment was.
Yeah. Yeah, the COVID has put a little wrench into things, but we feel very fortunate and blessed that we are operating on ground. We are still on site. There are options, like our teachers are saying, to be learning from the Zoom, but as the community, we're seeing a direct correlation between the community numbers and the number of students that we have on campus. And so there's seems to be different levels of comfort, and that's okay. We want people to still learn and be part of the community as much as possible. And so those that are on Zoom, we love you, and we want every student to grow and continue growing through their Zoom land. And for those who are choosing to be on ground, we love you too, just the same. So
I think part of the success of our teachers with Zoom is because they have that relationship with those kids. They know those kids, they encourage those kids, they care about those kids, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. We are looking forward to that time when we don't have to do this anymore. I'm sure you are too. If there are no other questions, we will end the time. I know we're trying to keep it at an hour-ish, and so it's that hour-ish time. And again, thank you for spending this hour with us and just getting us a chance to share our little experiences here at Concordia and the big experiences that our students have in their lives. Jordan, thanks for rushing home. I hope you were safe from cheerleading practice. Thanks for being here. Can't believe you're already a senior and you're almost out of here. It's a whole other, we won't get into that. We're not going to talk about the end of senior year. Let's pray out. Heavenly Father, thank you again for this time. Thank you that technology works and our personnel and our student are here and able to communicate exactly just what happens at Concordia High School. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the love that comes from you is projected into this community. And continue to ask for the hedge of protection at Concordia High School against coronavirus, and continue to watch over those who are recovering, and all of our extracurriculars and sports teams and all the different activities. Continue to watch over them right now. Thank you for this time again. In your name we pray. Amen.